Hey, welcome back to another episode. I'm Ken, and today I've got something that is going to absolutely blow your mind. I was recently away in Greece. I got back not that long ago, and I came across this recipe that was absolutely magnificent. A neighbor of mine in Greece, which is a lovely lady, basically the neighborhood adopts me when I'm down there, but she made this baklava for her family, and then she brought me a piece. And it was the most delicious, the absolutely most fantastic baklava I've ever put in my mouth. I was lucky enough for her to show me the recipe and show me how she basically did it. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to do it for yourselves. It's super easy, not complicated at all. There's not a lot of stuff to this. It's basically a mixture of walnuts and almonds, cinnamon, cloves, sugar, honey, butter, and filo. That's it, and it's gonna make for you the most superb baklava ever. A super trick that I'm gonna show you as well that Kiradina showed me in Greece is how to layer the filo to get you the absolutely most perfect and crispy crunch ever in your layers. So to start us off, there's the first stage of this, which is assembling the nut mixture. This is super easy. For this, I've got 3 cups of chopped walnuts and 1 cup of chopped or slivered almonds. Whatever you've got totally works. You can make it totally with all walnuts. In this case, Kirdina showed me how to make this with the almonds, and I'm going to stick to that as well. So in a bowl, you just want to combine the 4 cups of your nuts, half a cup of regular sugar, the white granulated sugar, and a tablespoon of cinnamon. The next step is very simple. Just fold everything here in as evenly as you can, and this will be the layer of nuts in between your filo. One thing I didn't mention is when we start, preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit and put your rack in the middle of your oven. You don't want to get it too low or too high, so in the middle is perfect. All right, so the next part of this is our baking sheet, which is a 9x13 baking sheet. And all you do with this, there is a trick to this. I've pre-melted some butter here. And again, I like to use salted butter in my recipes. Use unsalted if you like. Salt is flavor any way you look at it, and in this you're already having baklava. You're not going to be entering a swimsuit contest, so just go on and enjoy it. To keep your baklava and your filo layers from sticking on the bottom, baste the inside of your pan all around, including the walls, with a little butter before you start layering the filo. So the trick to this is 5 layers on the top, 5 layers on the bottom. So the first layer goes in nice and easy. You don't have to worry about your layers getting all ripped or whatever. It doesn't matter, because at the end, it's all gonna be one consistency anyway. So this is our last layer of our bottom filo going down. So basically, like we said, 5 sheets buttered on the bottom. The next thing we're going to do is simply take a handful of your nut mixture and just mix it all around and spread it evenly throughout your layers of filo. Now the next trick is from the woman that showed me this recipe, and it helps keep the baklava nice and crispy. In between the layers of the nuts, you're going to put 2 sheets of filo. The trick to keeping your baklava a little extra crispy, and nothing is worse than like a soggy baklava, it's like the dog's breakfast, believe me, you don't want to get into that, is the second layer you put down, You put it without any butter at all. So what you do is you just put it on dry, just like this. Again, with our nut mixture. You can be generous with this because it will give you a nice consistency as well, a nice texture in your mouth as you're eating this. And believe me, this is not a dessert or a pastry for somebody with nut allergies. And this is our final layer of nuts that I'm putting in now. So you're looking at approximately a baklava that's about 1 inch to 1.5 inches in depth. You don't want anything more than that. It just loses its consistency and then it becomes too soggy and different. So this is the final layer of our filo before our topping. We add the last of our nut mixture here, and it's already smelling amazing in terms of the nuts, the sugar, the cinnamon. Really nice. And the same thing will go on the top, 5 layers, buttered. Now, on the top, again, you can cheat a little bit because you can double up the filos and add them basically 2-2. And a lot of people will cringe at this, but the way my neighbor showed me in Greece, it works and it's totally amazing. So here we have 2 layers of filo on this. And at this point, you definitely want to go generous on the butter. And rule of thumb, butter makes everything better. Well, next to bacon. But the point is that for this, you put it on very generously and kind of let it soak and permeate through. And again, same deal, a double layer of filo. It doesn't have to be pretty at all, but it will taste amazing. And at the end, when you bake this off, the color is going to be bang on as well. So here we have another layer here, just like that. And by the way, the amount of butter that I melted for this recipe is about 1.25 cups to 1.5 cups of butter. So this will not make it on any Heart Smart list, but it is going to be absolutely delicious and decadent. So now our baklava is assembled. It's ready to go in the oven. The trick to this is to score maybe the top half of the filo dough, so that way as it bakes and it expands, you'll have a guide for you to cut the pieces with. And a rule of thumb for this, in terms of how to cut it, in terms of the traditional diamond, is you cut first with a very sharp, non-serrated knife. You cut through on the long side. Just like that. Oh, I can feel that crunch and that texture. It's amazing. And then on the 45, which will give you perfect triangles and diamonds. All right, so now my baklava has been cut up. It's been pre-cut in terms of the portions. You're gonna put this now in a 350-degree oven for about an hour. Keep an eye on it, but more or less what you wanna achieve is that golden brown flaky top without burning it. So I'm gonna pop this in the oven and I'll see you guys back here in about an hour. So now it's been about 2 hours since our baklava has come out of the oven. It baked off for about an hour and I've let it sit for another hour or so to let it completely cool down. And that is the trick to this recipe, according to Kyriadina, which is my neighbor who showed me this recipe. The trick to getting a crusty, crispy, flaky baklava, even with the syrup, is to let it cool completely. If you don't, it's gonna become this soggy, soupy mess that nobody really enjoys, and it's not exactly what this dessert is all about. So to get us started, the first thing we gotta do is our syrup. Get a saucepan, nice and easy, throw it on, fire this up, get it up to as high as it'll go. You wanna get this preheating and going, and what we're gonna do is a simple syrup. It is 3 cups water, which will go into our pan, just like that, along with 3 cups of sugar. Just the white regular sugar is totally fine. Leave that there. And what we're going to do is slowly bring that up to a boil. It's time to add the goodness into this. So the next thing that's going to go into our 3 cups of water and 3 cups of sugar is half a cup of honey. This is part of the flavor profile of the syrup for the baklava. And the next part of this is 5 cloves. You can go 4, you can go 6, but don't go too crazy because you don't want this thing being too clovey, if you will. So 5 cloves goes into our syrup mix, along with 1 stick of cinnamon. You can use a teaspoon of ground cinnamon, but the flavor is not going to be the same. So that goes in, and that's basically our syrup done. We're going to let this boil off now for about 5 minutes. Just the kind of the flavors of the honey, the sweetness of the sugar, the cloves, and the cinnamon all kind of just incorporate into this, and we'll be ready to go and put this onto our baklava. So now our syrup is done boiling. It's been going for about 5 minutes. It's absolutely perfect. The smell in here is absolutely delicious. It's intense. It's fantastic. Turn that off. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the bits of the cinnamon and the clove out of this. We don't need that going into our baklava. So that now this is ready to go. And what I'm going to slowly start doing is just drizzling this into our baklava or over it. And take your time with this. You want to make sure it goes all over. And not only does it go all over, but you want to do this in 2 stages. The first stage is down and set. Now we just leave that for about 5 minutes until it all starts kind of absorbing within the filo and the layers of the nuts. And then if you see that it still needs more and it's absorbent, you can also add a little more as well. For most people, or most normal people, they would wait until this kind of absorbed the liquid and kind of got settled in. Not here. Unfortunately, I can't wait. This smells fantastic. I'm actually gonna break the rules a little bit and dig right into this. So again, what we're gonna need is a really sharp, very, very sharp, non-serrated knife that you're gonna have to cut right through to the bottom of this. And very simply, I'm just going to take a little piece from the edge. I just literally want to try a little tiny corner of this. Can you guys hear that? That's actually like how crunchy and flaky and delicious this is when I'm cutting into this piece. It's a very small piece, but, and I got this like enormous plate. But I'm just gonna try it real quick, and I'll let you know how it turns out. This will actually get better once the syrup and everything else kind of cools down. It'll thicken up and it'll absorb. You guys hear that? That's what you're looking for right there. This is absolutely perfection. This is exactly the way fresh baklava should taste. It is so simple to make, so delicious. The filo is flaky and crusty, and that's exactly what you want. I can't stop eating this. So that's it for today's episode on baklava, or Kyriadina's baklava from Greece. Thank you very much for watching. I had a blast making this video for you guys. Very easy to make, super delicious, really not that complicated. You saw for yourself the steps, nothing to this at all. Basically, getting the nut mixture mixed, layering the layers with the filo, and making the syrup. That's all there is to it. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you try this for yourself because it's really not that complicated. And until next time, please hit the like button, subscribe, and I thank you very much for watching again. I'm Ken. Bye for now.